All right, welcome back to GMA3. It's Election Day, and this historical presidential race could come down to the battleground states. My co-anchor Eva Pilgrim is reporting from Washington, D.C. today. Good to see you, Eva.
Good to see you, DeMarco. The key blue wall states could very well decide this election. The poll numbers showing an incredibly tight race. Let's bring in our ABC News team fanned out across those states. Matt Gutman is in Pennsylvania, Deborah Roberts in Wisconsin, and Juju Chang in Michigan. Matt, let's start with you. Pennsylvania is the biggest electoral prize of the swing states with 19 electoral votes. The big concern in PA after what we saw there in 2020 is the ballot count. So what's the plan?
I was just going to say, you were here in 2020. You know that it was delayed by 5 days. That was largely, Eva, because of the pandemic and a deluge of mail-in ballots. This time, officials tell me it'll be different. I spoke to Governor Josh Shapiro, who says, first of all, accuracy is the most important thing. But second, he says that all of the counties have committed to working round the clock, not stopping once they've started until every ballot is completed. Electoral officials in various battleground counties telling me that they have improved their systems since then. More machines, people know exactly what to do. One of the areas of concern, however, that we might be talking about later is Erie County. There, thousands of ballots possibly went missing or went to the wrong people, and officials there tell me that could delay counting or the final results by days, possibly even weeks. But almost everything depends on how close this race is. The closer it is, the longer it will take to count the votes. One other thing that elections officials say is that they just want it to go safely. And so far, from what I'm hearing from multiple counties, everybody has been peaceful. And I want to show you the line. It's been like this for hours here already. We're going to get blasted by the sun, but still people are waiting here in line peacefully. And one of the great things, Eva, is they just have been chatting amongst themselves. So we're watching people practice democracy here. DeMarco.
All right, Matt, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Let's check it out with our very own Deborah Roberts. She is at the University of Wisconsin, where Gen Z voters could help decide who heads to the White House. Let's talk about that and also how tonight's results could be a nail-biter.
Hi, DeMarco. Yeah, absolutely. And I heard Matt talk about the sun there. Well, folks here are dealing with the rain, but students are engaged here nonetheless. We are at the University of Wisconsin, where these young voters, many of them, of course, first-time voters, could have an outsized impact on this race. Because when you think about it, 50,000 students here far outnumber that small margin that decided Wisconsin last time, about 20,000 votes, and the time before that with Trump, about 20,000 votes. But of course, we can't forget Milwaukee, east of here, the one area that is the biggest city in this state. And usually those ballots, those late mail-in ballots, come in later in the day. They don't start processing those ballots till later, until today. They've actually just started this morning, where some states do it a little bit sooner. So it takes a little time processing, verifying, looking at all of those ballots, which is why Milwaukee usually leaves us on the edge of our seats. But between Milwaukee and Madison, a lot to look at here in Wisconsin tonight, and once again could be a nail biter. So this is the place to be watching too for those 10 electoral votes. Eva?
Yeah, a lot to look at, and a lot of people will be watching there, Deb. Thank you. To Michigan now, where they have had record numbers there for early voters. Juju Chang is in Detroit. And Juju, what does this big early tellout tell us, if anything, as people head to the polls today?
Well, Eva, they're interesting tea leaves. Now, look behind me. Voting is underway today, but the early voting stats show a mixed bag in Michigan. There are cracks in the blue wall, and the question is, will it hold for Democrats this time out? Now, early turnout in Detroit is not as strong as the Harris camp would like. Officials tell me that Wayne County may not get to the 2020 levels, which, of course, is where a lot of African-American votes are. That would be bad news for the Harris camp. But there may be bad news for Trump in the early vote tally as well. 55% of all early voters here in Michigan were women. Now, remember, Michigan was one of the first states after Roe was struck down to put abortion on the ballot, and it created a giant blue wave here in Michigan in the midterms. And of course, Democrats are hoping that that would continue. Now, there's also a strong uptick in early voters in East Lansing and Ann Arbor, home to, of course, University of Michigan and Michigan State. Just like Deb at the universities, I spoke to the head of the MSU College Dems. He told me they registered 2,500 voters on campus alone. They went dorm storming, knocking on 80,000 doors and persuading people to turn out, both for a packed final campaign rally for Harris in East Lansing, which we went to, and to get people to the polls today for the final push. As you know, Eva, it's all about turnout.
Yes, turnout is the name of the game at this stage. Juju Chang in Michigan, Deborah Roberts there in Wisconsin, and Matt Gutman for us in Pennsylvania. Thank you all.